What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. For those of you who don't know, the ESPYs just happened. And if you're anything like me, you don't show up to these award shows. And I say show up like I'm not going to sit on my couch and turn that on. I'm going to be scrolling on YouTube or playing the game, doing whatever the hell I want to do. But the ESPYs is not one of those things. But I tell you what, just like anything that's worth my time seeing, it'll show up right here on YouTube. And the things that I want to see, I will click on. So maybe you saw this. Shane Gillis opened up the ESPYs yesterday, and I thought he was hilarious. However, I do believe that there were some cards that he left on the table. Like, I felt like there were some jokes that were just right there for him to grab. Jon Jones was in the crowd, and it was just too sweet of an opportunity for him to not have taken it. I put together a compilation of some of my favorite moments from last night. Let's check it out, and we'll talk about it after.
WNBA legend Deanna Taurasi is here. Give it up for her. My bad on that. Megan Rapinoe could not make it tonight. Nice. No, we're going to pretend she's a good time. All right. Jon Jones and Nate Diaz are here. Hell yeah. I had a couple drinks with those guys last night at the hotel, and it was terrifying. Donald Trump wants to stage a UFC fight on the White House lawn. Actually, there was supposed to be an Epstein joke here, but as it got deleted. Must have probably deleted itself, right? Probably never existed, actually. Let's move on as a country and ignore that. Max Crosby is here. Max, I hope you had a good Juneteenth, brother. Well, that guy's weird. Four-time WNBA All-Star Brittany Hicks is here. Give it up for Brittany, everybody. I'm joking around. That's my friend's wife. I knew none of you knew WNBA players. That's crazy. You clap for that. A big year for the WNBA. I love Caitlin Clark. Yeah, hell yeah. Caitlin Clark, she and I have a lot in common. We're both whites from the Midwest who have nailed a bunch of threes. All right, there you go. Lighten up a little. This is not serious. We'll see about this one. When Caitlin Clark retires from the WNBA, she's going to work at a Waffle House so she can continue doing what she loves most, fist fighting black women. Hell yeah. Who yelled? Drewski? Thank you, bro. Oh, Jon Jones. Yeah. What are you, nut jobs over there? Hell yeah.
So as you saw, some pretty good stuff, right? But it is very easy to joke and to talk about the WNBA players, right? We get it, right? The WNBA doesn't make as much money as the NBA. Nobody's really been checking for the WNBA before Caitlin Clark or Angel Reese. We get that. It's easy to talk about that. It's easy to talk about freaking Megan Rapinoe, the gay soccer player. But when you have a layup, Jon Jones is right there in the crowd. We know some of the things Johnny has been through, some of his criminal background, some of the more recent things. If you don't want to bag on the guy's past, which I get that, if you don't want to go there. But what about the recent stuff? Him ducking Tom Aspinall. Shane is a professional comedian, and I am not. But a simple, oh, Jon Jones, you're here. That's weird. A few weeks ago, Tom Aspinall couldn't find you. Just something like that would have sufficed. And I would have respected this whole bit from Shane a little bit more if he would have taken a dig at Jon Jones. And I get maybe not wanting to dig up some of the old criminal stuff and not wanting to mess with the guy's past, but there's so much recent stuff with Jon. I mean, what about this recent hit and run with the woman that was half undressed, no pants on, that may or may not have defecated on herself? What about him playing grab ass with the Russian guys out in Thailand? There's just so much there. And Nate Diaz, Shane, you were hanging out with Jon and Nate Diaz, and you couldn't say a single joke about Nate Diaz. But you know what? Shane's in that circle, I feel like he's Joe Rogan's buddy, and therefore he's probably very, very involved with the UFC in some form or another. And he probably wants to maintain some sort of alliance, for lack of better words, with these guys. It's easy to talk about the WNBA players. It's easy to talk about the gay female soccer players. Why not crack a joke about Jon Jones? That's all I'm saying. But that's enough about that. For this next segment, I'm going to scoot over because I'm going to be putting some tweets up right here. Apparently, there were a few people across the country that saw some racial tones in what Shane Gillis was saying and maybe took it too hard. Here's one right here. Let's check this one out. And that's why we continue to suffer as a society. Y'all let stuff go over y'all's head as a joke. When it is sugar-coated hate, then y'all call it being soft. Shaking my head. White man got y'all cackling at your own expense. The education system left everyone behind. Well, that's funny because I remember when I was in school and there was a freaking banner on every hallway in every room you'd go into that said, "No child left behind." Obviously, that's a joke. I'm a part of the public school system too. And you know what? I'm in Louisiana. We didn't have the best schools, but it's every man for themselves. Look, I'm joking. I think that some people read into this way too much. However, there is going to always be that racial undertone with Caitlin Clark and with Angel Reese. Oh, MAGA hates Angel Reese. And oh, only black people hate Caitlin Clark. And that's just not true. Look, I'm an LSU fan. You actually can see this picture back here. My cousin has season tickets to women's basketball games, and I've been attending for the last couple years. So for real women's college hoops fans, we know it's not like that at all, right? You go to a LSU women's basketball game, and it's probably going to be 50 to 60% white people, mostly women, and then another 40 to 50% black. And we all love our players, whether they're white or whether they're black. And I tell you what, these schools in the SEC, LSU, South Carolina, they don't just support these girls whenever they're playing at their school. They support them when they go to the WNBA. So all this stuff about white people hate Angel Reese and it's only black people that hate Caitlin Clark. No, I tend to disagree. It is just what we see on the media. Let me rephrase this in a way that might be better. The people who really care about the sport, we don't see it that way. Another tweet goes on to say, "I've always liked Gillis. My issue is black men get fired for saying far less by ESPN. Each and every time the excuse is ESPN is a Disney company. Meanwhile, ESPN wouldn't exist without those black men being their former athletes whose careers were sources of ESPN's content. So job well done to Gillis, but I already knew he'd kill it. He fumbled the Shador joke, but I think it's because he wanted to be nice." I don't think I clipped the Shador joke in, but I'll give you reference. He said, "Shador's getting his number retired at Colorado next year, but it's not because of nepotism. It's because he won 13 games and lost 10, and he almost won the Alamo Bowl." A reference to Colorado being a slightly winning team, not a dominant team, and getting to a bowl game. And Deion being his dad. I don't see how he could have fumbled that joke. I thought it was pretty damn funny if you ask me. And then the last tweet we're going to go over says, "The great Patrice O'Neal once said that comedy is about making half the audience feel super uncomfortable and making the other half laugh. I think you have to know Shane Gillis to understand some of the race jokes aren't because he's racist." I think he said it. And it's funny because there's a Canadian flag in his profile picture, No Pressure Pete. And Canadians are super liberal. At least that's what the media tells us. Look, people who enjoy comedy enjoy the fact that we can kind of let loose and enjoy the thought of there just being no rules, right? Where nothing is off limits and we can all just laugh. So this is the conclusion of this video. We're going to go ahead and wrap up. My final thoughts are Shane Gillis did an awesome job. I'm so glad that we can still have moments like this on live television, on a platform like ESPN. But me being an MMA fan and having a mixed martial arts channel, I just wish he would have fired a shot off at Jon Jones. Let me know what you guys thought about this one down in the comments.